So good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to NJPW tonight. They have a show in Trenton, New Jersey. And then also the other part of this is that their show is called The New Beginning in USA. And I was inspired by a YouTuber named Russell Toddy who is planning to go to the G1 in Chicago because they're going to do a few matches there. And I'm actually really excited because I want to try out different companies and just see what's out there, look at different types of wrestling. And FYI, I'm actually going to go to Japan in a few weeks. And unfortunately, in my trip to Japan, New Japan Pro Wrestling has a show in Fukushima, but it's a little far from Tokyo, so I can't go. They have 8 matches announced tonight, so I'm very happy with this. If this was AEW, they'd have 13, 14 matches. And if this was with WWE, they'd be cheap with their PLEs. And because with a lot of their PLEs, they do 3 or 4 matches. I like that this is an 8-match card. And I want to talk about, a few of the matches that I'm excited to see. The first match I'm excited to see is Ricochet versus Taiji Ishimori, because Ricochet's been doing a lot of really great stuff in AEW. I like him as a character. He's a habitual line stepper, just like Rick James bitches. The next match I want to see is El Phantasmo versus Konosuke Takeshita, because obviously El Phantasmo has really great glasses. I want to get those glowing glasses that he has, If I'm going to be in the front row section, so I'm going to actually be like, hey, you know what? If I get to talk to him, ask him where he got it from. Konosuke Takeshita, he always has really great matches. I hope he wins tonight. And the other match that I want to see is the Knockout Brothers versus the Gates of Agony. Like, the Gates of Agony, when you watch professional wrestling, you can really tell who really gives a fuck, who really is just trying to get to that next level, who's really trying to elevate themselves. And then also you kind of see people who really just don't care. And I think with the Gates of Agony, I really kind of see that they really, really give a fuck about being professional wrestlers, even though they've kind of not really have had a good direction or found like what works for them until they started working with Ricochet. So I hope they win. I have a lot of respect for them because when I have good intuition on people and they really care about being professional wrestlers. I hope they win titles tonight. The next match is Sayuri versus Athena. I think this is going to be the most unpredictable match. You don't know what's going to happen in this match as far as a winner and loser, because honestly, you have to validate Athena. She's been like a champion for a little over 3 years. I believe she's actually close to being the Hulk Hogan 1980s title run with how long she's been the Ring of Honor champion. So you almost have to say to yourself, it looks bad if Athena loses, because obviously, you're saying, oh, well, a 3-year plus champion can't beat somebody for a championship. That's almost like the issue with Mercedes. Mercedes has 12 or 13 belts. She has to keep winning because you had to validate, somebody what somebody has. And Athena has really great matches. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with this. And then the main event, I'm really excited to see Yota Tsuji versus Andrade El Idolo. And Andrade's been doing a lot of really great stuff in AEW. So and then also you don't know how it's going to end really, because will MJF make an appearance? Because when MJF was defending the World Heavyweight Championship at an event in Queens a few weeks ago, Andrade took the AEW Championship and distracted MJF. So maybe there could be some retaliation, and then it could lead to maybe a dynasty. Andrade El Idolo versus MJF, which I would like to see, because obviously they need different people in the heavyweight championship picture in AEW. I appreciate they did a match with Brody King. Andrade definitely deserves a match, but it's going to be interesting to see if MJF is going to show up and interfere. I predict that's what's going to happen, really. I don't think they're going to change the title, because Yota Tsuji and a lot of people who work for NJPW have made it kind of clear they don't like when AEW people hold their titles, because it's honestly like, okay, well, the title disappears for a couple of months, really, so you can't really have that. But I'm very sure they're both going to have a banger of a match. So, in a couple of hours, I'm going to go there, and I'm going to tell you guys what I really think about NJPW, the New Beginning in USA, and we'll take it from there. I'm really, really excited for this motherfucker of a show, bitches. Yeah, so unfortunately, I just woke up, and it's like 8 o'clock now, so I'm going to be maybe 45 minutes late to the show. So what happened was that I worked the night shift at my hospital job, and, my alarm clock did not go off. But honestly, the what happened was that, I didn't get any sleep today. So I was basically up, from 6 p.m. yesterday to 6 p.m. today, and my body just fell asleep. But also, my alarm clock was on, but for some reason, it didn't go off really. So that kind of really frustrates me because that does happen with alarms, Too bad I don't have Triple H's hammer to just smash this thing before, fucking me over really. John Cena retired last year, and then AJ Styles retired this month.
Yes.
Yeah, my Uber driver, my boy, you know what? He got here really, really quickly. He was driving like crazy taxi. And I also give him a lot of credit because, obviously, New Jersey has some really, really bad freaking roads. So I only missed 40 minutes of the show. So hopefully I get to see Takeshita because he's definitely a bad motherfucker. So guys, I really want to say that I enjoy New Japan Pro Wrestling USA. And yeah, it was a little unfortunate that, I overslept and I missed 2 matches. But what I saw was really, really excellent. And there's a couple of things that I really want to say that, number one, I'm a fan of AEW, but they can also learn from having shorter shows because obviously it's 8 good matches. And the other thing too is that there wasn't any hardcore or whatever type of matches. They kind of were really about action. So, with AEW, like I said, it seems like every pay-per-view, like I've said before, they kind of overdo stipulations and other shit like that. So I like that New Japan has that. The other thing too is that the ticket prices were really good for this show, and that's a positive. This isn't like WWE and their Las Vegas cash grab. So, you know what, and obviously New Japan Pro Wrestling is not blowing the Saudi Arabian government like WWE and Triple H is doing. But comedy aside, there were a couple of matches that I really liked. Andrade versus Yota Tsuji. Definitely a really great match. It went a really great duration. There was a lot of counters. There was a lot of really awesome spots. I think there was a spot I think it was a side slam, a Canadian destroyer being turned to a side slam, and it really shows that Andrade has a lot of potential as a wrestler. Even Yota Tsuji. I honestly feel that wholeheartedly AEW needs to push Andrade. He really needs to go after the AEW World Championship. And I think that it would be tragic if he doesn't, because it's another example of a wrestler that has a lot of potential, but they don't have any direction for them. And I also hope that he continues wrestling for New Japan Pro Wrestling as well, really. But, it went a good distance. It went a good duration. It was very epic. It was like a high hit. It was like a high hitting match. And also, too, with a lot of New Japan Pro Wrestling matches, sometimes it starts out a little slow, then gets more epic, but the majority of the match is just really epic and near falls and intensity, and I really, really enjoyed it. The next match that I enjoyed was Athena versus Sayuri. Really great women's match. Again, they went a long time, and there was a lot of really great action in that, really great slams from Athena. I was a little upset that Athena didn't win because she's been as I said before, she's been the Ring of Honor Women's Champion for about 3 years. So what's that really? It shows that, she can't win any other title. She can't win anything big. She can't have any progression anywhere she goes outside of being the Ring of Honor champion. So it makes that title look kind of mediocre, really. So, I think eventually there has to be her moving forward, really, because her career really right now is just holding the Ring of Honor Women's Championship and not being successful with anything else. And the other match that I enjoyed was Konosuke Takeshita versus El Phantasmo. Like, that was another really great match. It won a great duration. I really enjoyed it. You know, the Blue Thunder Bomb is definitely my favorite move. You know, Takeshita has a lot of, potential. And again, another wrestler where I think Andrade and Takeshita, they both have to really lead the Don Callis family. And there has to be a storyline where they become baby faces and in the singles division. Because it doesn't make sense that you have a bunch of baby faces in the Don Callis family. But it shows to me that Takeshita could be a really big star in AEW. He is ready to be like a world champion. Like, Takeshita versus MJF at Forbidden Door, or Andrade versus MJF at Forbidden Door would be really great options. And I'm also predicting that they're going to do Forbidden Door in Chicago during the July 11th weekend, just to celebrate New Japan Pro Wrestling and then also put over AEW. But I really enjoyed that match. But I didn't like the finish where they had something where the had a time limit and it was a time's up. Then they said, oh, well, let's just do another 5 minutes. Because sometimes when you have matches like that, you really just hurt the momentum, really. Because then you just go from, oh, well, we want something to happen. Oh, well, it's over. Everybody's pissed off. Then we get back into it. So it kind of just it just really takes you out of the mood, really. It's almost like going to a restaurant and and then what happens is that you have a really great meal with your dad, and then your dad says, oh, well, no dessert. And then what happens is that desserts show up a little bit later and he says April Fools, It takes you out of the mood, really, when you have that go on. The other thing that I will say is that I really enjoyed Ricochet, his match. And I really think that, really great offense, and it was also a little flippy, but not too flippy. And I also feel that stuff that Ricochet was doing, he tried to leave. He was wrestling around the arena a little bit because, he's kind of like a dick heel character. But I think he's just like MJF, where I think he knows how to do enough, but not too much, really. He doesn't flanderize himself. And again, I also like him as a professional wrestler, because if this was a Will Ospreay match, it would be like 100 flips or whatever, or this was a Young Bucks match, it would be 100 flips. But Ricochet, he kind of knows how to, do enough as well, really. And the other match I liked was the Gates of Agony, and they were in a tag team match. Obviously, they lost because, they're not really big about changing titles to other companies, and I kind of am okay with that. And what I mean by that is, obviously the NJPW people don't want to be giving AEW people titles, and vice versa, really. And that's totally fine, but sometimes you gotta have some unpredictability, So it doesn't count with Takeshita, because Takeshia's both, he's signed to both companies. But obviously it was a good match with Ricochet, even though it was kind of predictable who was going to win that. And also the Gates of Agony as well, really. And like I said about the Gates of Agony, I think they show a lot of potential. I was a little disappointed that they lost. I think they should have won those titles and, held it for a couple of months just to have some unpredictability. But I think it's time for the Gates of Agony to actually hold, a major title. I think they should be the tag team or Trios champion AEW, or I think they need to be the 6-man or tag team champion in IWGP. But overall, it was a really great show. I paid probably around $150 for my ticket, front row section. I overslept and missed 2 matches. Unfortunately, during the main event, I fell asleep a little bit just because I worked just because I was up over 24 fucking hours. 6 p.m. yesterday, had to work the night shift. Then I had to come here. So I fell asleep a little bit, but I really felt I got my money's worth. So, overall, it was a great investment of my time. When they go to Chicago on July 11th, if I have the motherfucking money, it's something that I really want to motherfucking do. So, New Japan Pro Wrestling has a lot of great stuff. They need to give this, a lot of people need to give this promotion a chance. And definitely, it's very true that AEW, which came out in 2019, I believe, was inspired by New Japan Pro Wrestling. And as I said, I think this company really needs to stick around long as possible. I really enjoyed it, and it's something that if it's close by, Connecticut, I'll always come to every NJPW show. And if flights to Chicago are cheap, I'm damn sure going to go to Chicago and see some G1 action. And I also want to thank my friend Wrestle Toddy, because she obviously inspired me to go and also venture out to different companies. Now, tomorrow there's a show for Combat Zone Wrestling, and then Sunday there's a show for Combat Zone Wrestling, which is their anniversary show. And I'm excited for those things as well. So, really great. For my day one of 3 professional wrestling shows, this was definitely motherfucking worth it, bitches.